Welcome to CloverDX Designer Examples. We're looking at example 1, top customers. The way that CloverDX Designer works with your data is through all of these boxes and lines, which we call components and edges. The components represent some action that's being done with your data, whether it's reading it like the green components, transforming it, usually represented by yellow components, or finally you're writing the data somewhere, as we see with the blue components. And then the edges represent the data moving to and from each of the components. This example reads a list of transactions, performs some transformations and aggregations to get the top 20 customers by total spending, handles some errors, and then finally writes those top 20 customers into a report spreadsheet. Let's take a look at it in more detail. In order to see what's happening on the edges, I'm going to begin by running the graph, which I can do with Control R or just right-click, Run Clover Graph. If it's successful, you should see it turns green here at the bottom and says Finished OK. So we begin with these three readers on the left. We've got load transactions, load customer details, and load online exchange rates. If we click on any of the edges, we can see down here a preview of the data that's coming from that component. So for load transactions, we have a transaction ID, a customer ID, an amount, and a currency ID. So because each of the transactions is in a different currency, we're going to need the exchange rates to convert everything to euro later on in our graph. So beginning first with the load transactions, we're going to sort the transactions with this fast sort component. And if we open that up and take a look at it, we can see here the configuration for this component. So we choose a sort key. Here it's the customer ID, sorted by ascending, and that's important for our merge join, which we have coming up after it. This is going to merge all of the data from the transactions file and the customer details file. So we can see we went from before having these 4 fields about the transaction and these 3 fields for the customer to having now 6 fields with the customer ID, name, first name, and the transaction detail. We've merged those together. Then we're going to merge again the transaction and customer details with the currency exchange rates currently. This is the exchange rate of each currency to euro, and get that amount in euro here. So we can see we went from, on this first transaction, 897 in currency 1 to, we can see currency 1 was Japanese yen, and that currently is €5.59. Next, you might notice that we have some customer IDs where we don't have any customer information. Likewise, we have some currencies where we don't have any exchange rate information. So we can't use those for our aggregations. So we need to handle those errors somehow. So what we've done is we've got a partition component here, which takes those missing customer records and writes them into a separate sheet of our report spreadsheet so that we can see which transactions are missing customers, and the same with the missing currencies. They're written to another sheet in our report spreadsheet. So then, finally, all of the clean data is coming out of this bottom edge, and it's going into an aggregation component, which sums all of the transactions by customer, so that we go from having one record for each transaction to having one record for each customer with their amount of spending summed up. Then we sort that descending by the amount spending so that we can get them in order of the highest spenders. And then we have a deduplicator component here, which removes all except for those top 20. So we have here just the top 20 highest spending customers, James McCulloch being the top. And then finally, we will write those into our report spreadsheet. And then we can even use our structured data writer to write them into HTML so that we get a nice little HTML report like this. So that is the top customers example. And I hope this was helpful. Thanks.